It started with an assumption. A white police officer saw a black woman in casual clothes stepping out of her car at night. To him, she wasn't a fellow officer, just another civilian he assumed was up to no good. What he didn't know, what he didn't bother to check, was that she was one of his own. This is the story of Detective Maya Lawson, a highly respected officer whose life took an unexpected turn the night she was wrongfully arrested by a colleague blinded by bias. What seemed like a simple misunderstanding quickly spiraled into something far more dangerous, a fight against corruption that would threaten her career, her safety, and everything she believed in. The neon lights above the convenience store flickered as Maya parked her car. She had just finished a long shift and was exhausted, but a quick stop for a bottle of water seemed harmless. As she locked her car, she noticed a young officer aggressively questioning 3 teenagers in the parking lot. The kids, barely old enough to drive, looked terrified. "Hands out of your pockets," the officer barked. Maya recognized him, Officer Ethan Blake. His stance, his tone, he wasn't here to de-escalate. He was looking for trouble. Maya debated ignoring it. This wasn't her problem. But years on the force had trained her instincts well. Something wasn't right. She stepped forward. "Officer, is everything all right here?" Blake turned, scanning her from head to toe. Dressed in a hoodie and sweats, she was just another bystander in his eyes. He squared his shoulders. "Step back, ma'am." "I'm just checking," Maya said, keeping her voice calm. "Hands on the car." Now Maya froze. "Excuse me?" "You're interfering with police business," Blake snapped, grabbing her wrist before she could react. The bottle of water slipped from her hand, crashing onto the pavement. "I'm a detective," Maya said, twisting to reach for her badge. "Save it," Blake interrupted, forcing her against his squad car. The cold metal pressed into her cheek as cuffs tightened around her wrists. "You can explain at the station." The teenagers pulled out their phones. "Yo, she didn't do anything." One of them yelled, "Quiet." Blake barked, but the damage was done. The cameras were rolling, and within hours, the footage would spread like wildfire. When they arrived at the precinct, the room went silent. Officers exchanged glances. The desk sergeant, Mike Reynolds, stood up abruptly. "What the hell is going on?" "She was interfering," Blake said, his arrogance still intact. Reynolds' face turned pale. "Blake, she's a detective." "One of ours," Blake blinked. "What?" Maya smirked. "Told you, get those cuffs off her." "Now," Reynolds ordered. Blake fumbled for the key, suddenly clumsy. Maya rolled her shoulders as the cuffs came off. Her eyes locked on him. "Congratulations, Officer Blake. You just arrested one of your own, but the real storm was only beginning." The video of Maya's arrest went viral overnight, racking up millions of views. The headlines were brutal: "Detective wrongfully arrested by fellow officer." The next morning, Maya scrolled through the comments. People weren't just angry, they were demanding action. But one part of the footage made her stomach drop. As Blake shoved her into his squad car, his mic caught him whispering, "Don't let this derail the plan." The plan? What plan? And who was he talking to? By midday, the station was in chaos. Internal Affairs launched an inquiry. Maya walked into the precinct, head held high. "You okay?" Her colleague, Ryan Torres, asked. "Hard to miss the headlines," she replied. "It's not just headlines." Ryan lowered his voice. "People are talking. Something bigger is going on here." Maya knew he was right. The deeper she dug, the more she uncovered a web of cover-ups, buried complaints, and officers who never faced consequences. And at the center of it all, Captain Jonathan Mercer, the man who had dismissed her case as an unfortunate misunderstanding. That night, Maya received an anonymous text. "Step aside, Lawson. This isn't your fight." But Maya wasn't one to back down. As the days passed, threats escalated. Her car window was smashed. Another message arrived. "Next time, it'll be you." Ryan, an internal affairs investigator, Sophia Lee, worked with Maya to piece together Mercer's corruption. Officers under his command had spotless records to spotless. Every complaint, every investigation, silenced. One evening, Maya checked her email. An anonymous tip had one line: "Ask Mercer about the Garrison case." When she confronted Blake in an interrogation room, he cracked. "It's Mercer," he admitted. "He's been covering for bad cops for years." In court, Blake took the stand. Under pressure, he broke. "Mercer runs everything. He decides who gets away with what." He made sure the Garrison case disappeared. Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Mercer, watching from the back, remained eerily calm. But Maya knew it was over for him. The judge ruled against Blake, finding him guilty of misconduct. Mercer was arrested soon after, but as Mercer was led away, he smirked at Maya. "You think this ends with me?" That night, Maya received another message. "You've only scratched the surface. The fight wasn't over. It was just beginning."